Hello and welcome along to another CrowdProperty.com funding opportunity. And today we're going to return back for the Phase 3 launch of 2 to 8 Churchgate, Stockport in Manchester, SK1 1YA. Now, CrowdProperty is a peer-to-peer lending platform designed to facilitate loans between private individuals and professional property businesses. CrowdProperty is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority under permission number 723959. CrowdProperty is not covered by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. There are risks with any loans you make, and just like all peer-to-peer lending, your capital is at risk. CrowdProperty endeavours to protect all lenders. This is done by registering the legal first charge against the property project. This means that in the very unlikely event a borrower defaults on the loan, CrowdProperty will be able to take ownership of the project and manage it for the lenders. So let me then introduce you to the borrowers on this particular Phase 3 development. So it's been purchased by Churchgate ACA Limited. Their company is 122-51974. Directors Colin Gorman, Richard Simmons and David Simonson. And we are going to have Colin joining us on this webinar. Welcome to the webinar, Colin.
Thank you, Andy.
So let's start off. Just give us a little bit more about your background.
I have been in the construction industry for some 34 years now, and in property development specifically now for the last 20 of that. My business, along with Kevin's, is based broadly across the north of England, but more specifically in the Greater Manchester area.
Now, the Kevin that you're talking about is the person who's helping you on this project, Kevin Patrick. He's the manager of operations. And I'm delighted to say that Kevin's with us as well. Just tell us a little bit more about yourself, Kevin.
My background is civil engineering and construction. I've been in this game now for over 40 years. I've worked mainly on residential and retail properties in the UK and over in Europe.
And we mentioned earlier about the two other people involved in the project. Tell us a little bit more about who they are and what their background is.
Astute Capital PLC are our joint venture partners in this development. Astute are listed on the stock exchange. They would be considered a blue chip company. They raise their capital that they expend in developments mainly from the European Union stock exchanges. They have several ongoing developments with several partners, and we consider ourselves lucky enough to be one of them partners.
So let's then talk about this project. This is the Phase 3 of an estimated 5-phase raise, where CrowdProperty has agreed the total facility of £2.375 million. That's to develop this site. Is in Stockport. The first and second phases totaled £629,000, and the monies have been used towards the purchase of the site and the initial works. The original loan commenced on the 4th of December 2019, and that was for a term of 18 months. This is the Phase 3 raise, which we're looking for £300,000, and it will merge into the loan facility with the interest being rolled up and monies paid at the end of the project. The money is going to be released to the building team depending on the independent monitoring surveyor's reports. So this Phase 3 is going to be approximately 14 months loan and earning the interest up to that time when it's going to be repaid. The borrower is already well known to CrowdProperty. They've had two previous projects. One was at Cheadle-Hulme and the other at Stretford, and both of those have been funded also. So this Phase 3 loan then is for £300,000. The initial loan to value at the start was 69.1%. RICS valuation of the property at the beginning is £470,000. The estimated RICS valuation for the gross development value is £3.84 million, and first charge security is already in place to support and protect people investing on each of the different phases here on this particular project. So the borrower then has demolished the existing building and has started development of the site. To be 24 new apartments. Tell us though, if you wouldn't mind please, Colin, a little bit more of the background between this site and where you're building it.
It's in Stockport town centre. It's opposite the church. Has a great historic value in the town centre. It's also in close proximity to the market area, and the market area is several centuries old. The development itself, once completed, will overlook not only Stockport but Manchester and the parts of the Lower Pennines and Saddleworth. The council in Stockport have allocated £1 billion to start bringing the population from the suburbs and outskirts of Stockport back into the town centre, and this is one of the marquee developments in the area at the beginning of that process.
And it's got good rail links, hasn't it, and road links sort of various places, not least the fact Manchester Airport isn't very far away. There's a railway station as well, which is always good for a site. Planning permission has been granted by Stockport Metropolitan Borough Council. Their planning reference is DC/070503, where the permission has been granted for the demolition of existing buildings and new 24 apartment block over 3 stories facing Churchgate and a lower 3-story section facing Harvey Street. We'll see how that works in just a few moments on this webinar. The development totally is 16,813 square feet of new build. And once the development is completed, the property will have 24 2- and 3-bed dwellings. And remember, the exit strategy is that the individual units are going to be sold on completion of the works. Here's the location plan for you. On the left-hand side, you can see the CrowdProperty flag pointing to the site and where it is in relation to Manchester. On the right hand side, you can see the layout of the actual site itself, and it fronts onto 2 different roads. Here's a little bit more about the location. So it's in Stockport, that's on the southwestern area of Greater Manchester. Predominantly it's a commercial area. Locally, Stockport offers amenities with pubs, shopping centres, well-known restaurants and banks, as you would expect most towns and cities to have. There's several schools also nearby, and it's based in the Great Underbank area of the town, which is close to those bars, restaurants and shopping. But also, there's over 1,000 years worth of Anglo-Saxon history. The town is home to the remains of a medieval town, and that wall within that medieval town is minutes away from this particular site. And on the right, you can see some floor plans there as to how it's going to look. But I've got a little bit more detail to share with you on the next slide here. And I'd like to invite Kevin to come and talk us through this bit, if you like, because here we are, we've got 24 of these apartments. And on the right-hand side, we can see how they're laid out. Just talk us through what it is that you're doing and on which floors.
The block to the left, actually, the front doors front out onto Churchgate and overlook the church that Colin mentioned earlier on. The block it's effectively 2 blocks. The block to the right, they front onto Harvey Street, which is at the rear, and in the middle there's an atrium, an open atrium, and they're all connected by 2 stair blocks. On the top, on the block on the right, you may notice that there's a glass balustrade around there, and that is a communal area on the rooftop of that block for everybody within the development to be able to use, which overlooks the whole of Stockport itself.
Now, on the left side of the screen, we're showing each of the different apartments in the building, the numbers and whether they're located in the basement or the sub-basement or at ground floor level, and various values that the independent RICS valuer has put against these. All of them on this photo are 2-bedroom, but different square footages and sizes. As we move forward, you'll see the different apartments and their corresponding values as well, and the square footage on those particular properties. Some of these apartments are on 2 separate levels. You see the apartment 21 and 22 are on both level 2 and 3. And then there is the rest of the apartments, again, with their values and where they are. There's some 3-bedroom properties also as part of this. The total gross development value is £3.84 million. Remember, upon sale, this project is forecast to generate £625,000 profit. So I've got 2 questions here about this, and this is probably aimed at you, Colin, if that's okay. First of all, how did you find the site? And then secondly, you're now going to be building this. Who do you think are going to be the people wanting to buy and move in?
Obviously, we have extensive contacts with agents in Greater Manchester because of our past history of delivering decent projects. So we get offered developments day and daily, and we only pick the best of them developments. This development fitted into that mold. The person that we believe will buy these flats are young professionals, young families, older pensioners that want to downsize but want the ease of access to the town centre.
And I've got some computer generated images here looking at how it's going to be when it's completed. Just talk us through these, please, Kevin.
Yeah, the image to the left is a computer generated image of the front of the development, which is overlooking the church. Again, the image to the right is the same view of it, of the front. The image bottom right is from the rear, and that shows basically how it's built in two blocks, a front block and then a rear block with the flat roof with a glass balustrade around it. I mentioned earlier that is a communal area for all to enjoy. Both blocks are connected by two stair towers that you can see on that image, which gets you to the different levels.
Now, the independent monitoring surveyor has been out to visit the site at least 4 times. That's since the commencement of the works. His latest report came back on the 19th of March. I know you will have done some more work since that, but what's your feedback, Kevin, on what the independent monitoring surveyor is saying here?
On top of what's stated there, the demolition is now complete. Detailed design is finalised, and basically we are 4 weeks behind because of circumstances beyond our control. But we have discussed this, and we're going to be working extra hours to recover this, and we will deliver it on time and to budget.
And there was a slight overspend, wasn't there? Just over £7,000, which you've covered yourself. But all of the contingency you had is still in place, isn't it?
That's correct.
Now, the next independent monitoring surveyor's inspection is due on the 30th of April, and the photos we're looking at were taken on site on the 14th of April. Now, you've previously worked on some other projects. This is a case study from Sheffield in St Joseph's Road. Just talk us through what you did here, please, Colin.
Yeah, this was 55 new build flats, went into a joint venture with the landowner. They put the land into the deal, and we drew in deposits from sales. And with the deposits, we built out the development and paid the landowner on the sale of each unit. We also run into some ground problems on this site, but we had a 4-week delay at that time, but that came into the summer, as we are now, and we were able to claw back the lapse in time very, very quickly. But this was a very successful development for us, with everything being sold off plan.
And quite a healthy profit of 1.8 million, which was shared out between the respective players on that one. The second case study we've got is Cheapside Chambers. What did you do here?
Yeah, again, a nice development of apartments, you know, a mix of different types, and picked up this development, you know, quite cheap, we felt, and we're able to again pitch it off plan, and we're able to sell it out and build it out in quite quick succession.
So coming back then to the project we're talking about here, the phase 3 raise for 2 through to 8 Churchgate in Stockport. This is the third phase raise. It's estimated to be 5 phase raises in total, and that total raise will be for 2.375 million. This particular raise is phase 3, which is for £300,000. The initial drawdown at the beginning was £329,000, with the initial loan to value at the point of purchase being around about 70%. Lenders are going to be paid 8% per annum interest. It's going to be rolled up and paid at the end of the project when it's paid back. So people on phase 3 entering now will have their loan in place for up to about 14 months worth of interest, depending on whether it goes full term to the end of the project. This phase is targeted to start on the 30th of April 2020. Now, I know that we saw some computer generated images earlier, Colin, but this site, you talked about the church. Just describe a little bit more about the position of this particular building inside of Stockport Town Centre.
Yeah, there's 2 parts to Stockport. As you rightly said earlier about the medieval element of Stockport, there's the lower part and there's the upper part. This site is on the upper part and then abuts to the lower part. So it looks over all the rooftops of Stockport town centre, and it looks out to the countryside on one side and looks back towards Manchester on the other. It has a beautiful church opposite it. It has some nice hotels beside it. It has ample car parking. It has great access to the local pubs, restaurants, supermarkets, hypermarkets, so it's a prime bit of real estate.
And this next phase raise of £300,000, what will that go towards, Kevin?
That's going towards to continue on with the progression of the construction. The photographs that you showed earlier showed the latest photographs taken on the 14th showed the demolition complete. We're just now reducing down to formation level to start putting the foundations in and then start constructing the ground floor slabs ready to take the steel frame of the new building.
So thank you both for explaining this project for us in so much detail. The next steps are to make sure that you as the investor understand this loan, carry out your own due diligence both on this project and on the development team as well, and then decide how much you would like to lend. CrowdProperty.com is the place to be to pledge on launch, and then CrowdProperty will conduct the necessary anti-money laundering checks on people investing in the project, and then you'll be invited to send your funds to your very own online e-wallet when it's called for, and you'll start earning interest on completion of the loan agreement. So thank you for watching this webinar. I hope you can help us then support this phase 3 raise. We're looking for £300,000 to continue the development of 2 through to 8 Churchgate in Stockport, which is part of Manchester SK1 1YA. And please look out for more funding opportunities here soon at CrowdProperty.com.